Okay, we are live without music. No.
Yeah, it's not that easy. I'm kind of like gotten rusty here. Hello, everybody. It's Holger Mueller from Constellation Research with my partner in crime, Martin FIscher, talking about all things SAP. How are you, Martin?
Pretty good. Thanks, Holger. And nice for having me again. And yeah, we already did a rehearsal yesterday, right?
Exactly. We did the best video ever. The pressure is now on us. And I don't know if it was user error on my side that I didn't hit the record button, or if it's a glitch on StreamYard, because we're still in production for our yesterday's one. And that was one of the best ones with live soccer commentary as Germany was playing Latvia. Not happening now, right? So we didn't want to wait longer for Germany playing live again. Truly being inspired, yeah.
I'm not that sure if we will be that happen in the next matches as the result was yesterday.
If talking about soccer, we have to Fußball, right? Football. I don't think Germany will score 7 goals in the preliminary 3-round games. No.
Against France.
Or Portugal, not even Hungary will be that, because they're not like 130 something like Latvia, right? So yeah. But okay, very good. So we're going to talk about soccer. We're going to talk about the basketball playoffs, the Ice Hockey World Championship, and
Giro d'Italia.
Giro d'Italia. Giro d'Italia is over. I love to speak about Giro d'Italia. What a dramatic. Yeah, well, starting. It's not even on. No, what? I'm confused. No, the Giro just finished. The Giro finished. The Tour de Suisse is on. Tour de Romandie. What was last week? Paris-Nizza? Or was it?
Dauphiné?
What's the race before Tour de Suisse?
Dauphiné?
Dauphiné last week, yeah. Very interesting, very exciting Dauphiné. Lots of attacks. I always like it when they attack each other. Sort of driving behind the Ineos team.
Yeah.
Who wants to see that? All right. No, it's not going to be cycling. But like our friends at SAP had their yearly conference, Sapphire, right? Interesting, like all these conferences are stretched out, right? So it's a 3-week affair and versus a 3-day thing. Last week was CEO's Christian Klein's show together with lots of airtime for the new CMO, Julia White, joining from Microsoft. And they did a good job, I think.
Yeah, both did a very good job. So I was about to say better than last year, but Julia wasn't there last year. So but Christian did a much better job. The whole setup was much better in my perspective, because it wasn't that artificial and holo. It was a real building in the end. Also the whole setup was much better, and Julia did a very good job during her keynote. I mean, Christian, the message was okay, but how he delivers it, feels a bit. Don't know how to say that in English.
It's very matter of fact, not necessarily the most exciting delivery, right? But I think customers to a certain point like it, that it's not the overhyped affair of the McDermott days as SAP as my
I especially the European and German ones will like that. It's not everything is amazing and brilliant and whatever. And I think there will also be a different a difference when he will deliver his keynote again on a real stage with real spectators and people around.
Wow.
But I think it was good in the end. Hasso got also some airtime.
Hasso is always rewarding, right? So there's no question. Always fun to listen to Hasso talking about how things go. But let's start first things first, right? Biggest announcement, of course, SAP discovers the network, right?
Funny thing, I think, because I thought they discovered that already when they bought Ariba, and it was, I don't remember when, but years ago it was already stressed, and I thought they so I'm not really into procurement in Ariba. So that's why I might not be that good informed in that area, but I was a bit surprised that this big network they announced now is not already in place. I thought that was the reason for the acquisition back then.
But it's good for them to figure out and find the network. I think the network is super relevant, super important, not just Ariba, right? I didn't even know about the asset network or something which was joined there, but understanding networks is a significant change of increasing the value proposition of SAP products. So no question about that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm just wondering if it's just a bigger push for all the network they already had, or is that we are building the Facebook for the enterprises, which Christian called it like that in the keynote. Didn't like that too much, but well, if that means a big change for the existing Ariba stuff, or is it is it just getting
I don't
more?
think it's going to be a great question. I don't think it's going to be a big change to it, because the big change at Ariba is happening by adopting to HANA, to SAP Analytics, to SAP Cloud Platform, or now BTP. All this death march, if you want to call it like this, for the 5 sisters or 6 sisters to move to SAP technology is being concluded as we speak. So I think that's the thinking, that everything is going to run all together and fine together. But I think there's tremendous upside to it, right? So, but they weren't very specific about it, right? So.
Yeah, that was overall in all keynote topics a bit the things which were a bit missing for me. So more details, but I think that's the reason for that will be that they kind of teased for the upcoming sessions which are running right now.
Certainly a challenge for the 3-week format, that you can't steal too much thunder and leave some more specifics for the next week, right? No question about it. And then they, what else was there, right? Sustainability,
big topic with that Climate 21 initiative by SAP implementing the how do you say that in German? I would say Bilanzierung. The record of
recording carbon credits on the balance sheet or something, whatever.
Balance sheets, and it's not only the carbon footprint, if I got it right. We're already talking about also talking about diversity and other important topics.
Right. They're expanding that from a sustainability perspective, which I think makes sense. From the carbon footprint side, I'm a little skeptical. As much as I love the environment, right? There's no doubt about it. It's important. I haven't heard any board saying we need to upgrade to S/4HANA or need to upgrade our AP system because we need to get better at sustainability, right? Even the ones who are in highly regulated industries, which are feeling the pain or the regulatory pressure right now of doing something, they all look for quick, dirty third-party solutions. And I'm very much concerned it could even backfire to SAP, that people will put a carbon footprint solution next to ECC and then have another third-party system which they have to upgrade when they upgrade and move along to S/4HANA. So this might be even backfiring to them. But of course, it's an important topic. I just don't, making the military term, it wins a skirmish, but not the battle and not the war for ERP upgrade, right? And that's what they have to realize.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have some echo on my ear right now. No, it's getting better.
You sound good over here in San Diego, so don't worry about it.
Okay. I think it's it might become more relevant 5 years from now. Now they should, and they stress it, of course, also with RISE. They have to get the customers onto S/4HANA and hopefully also sell it to new customers,
right.
not only the existing base. And there was also an announcement, the Modular Cloud ERP, how they called it. So if I got it right, it's actually also nothing really new, but kind of a modular way how they sell the S/4HANA Cloud and the sisters, so meaning Ariba and all the other acquisitions. So that's a big thing because now they are integrated and now you can combine them. And actually, that's something customers expected since they bought each and every company.
It's certainly a good marketing trick, right? So using modularity, right? The fabled 3 modules, right? We're not talking about SD, MM, CO, and whatever here, right? So a different kind of definition of modularity, which certainly is a good move to use something which has been very successful for SAP in the past. It will remain to be seen how successful these modular pieces are, if it's just a licensing ploy, and how much happens in the back end of really installing software. We will see. So I think it's a good move to try to make SAP more consumable, easier to consume, which is one of the perennial problems, that it's so hard to implement SAP and then maintain it and upgrade it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, one thing is for sure, the integration of the products got much better in the last years, and they
I mean that was you're absolutely right. I mean, this was the big topic of client coming in. There was a whole integration roadmap and agenda. Unfortunately, like I always like messaging consistency across events, right? Unfortunately, it wasn't mentioned at all this year, right? So he should have said, okay, we've done this, we delivered this, here are the examples, and this was coming, right? So opportunity missed.
Because it's now the Modular Cloud ERP system.
If that is auto-magically integrated. Oh, yeah, sorry. I missed that.
Otherwise,
I missed that.
And
no conference. Go ahead.
Sorry, you continue.
I was going to say no conference in 2021 without process intelligence and process mining, right? SAP now has their own offering in the space, so of course they have to tout that, right? So with Signavio, but it's kind of
I mean, that will help to find a business case for S/4HANA for the customers. I think it's maybe a bit of a sad story that customers need something like business process mining to get the insights of what they installed.
Exactly. You've been using us since 20 years. Now let us tell you how you're using our software.
We don't know it ourselves, therefore we have to buy another company, or we partnered in the past with
we resold Celonis, right? Which of course now I think that the interesting thing is somebody following SAP for a long time can see the 5 stages of SAP adoption to disruptive innovation, which is the first phase 1 is being ignored. The second time, we've done it all the time. We've done it with our own things. The next one is, oh no, we don't have done it. We understand it now. The third one is we need to partner. The fourth one, you put them on the price list. And the fifth one is you buy somebody else. So you can go for history with partnering with I2 and my logistics, with Nortel for clarifying call centers, to go really deep into like beginning of the century. But yeah, that's kind of like the stages of, well, maybe not to be fair to SAP, right? It's like the dilemma of the large enterprise software companies who think they've done everything before and then miss some on the innovation side.
Yeah, but I mean, now they are doing it in the PLM area with Siemens, if I've got it right.
Yep.
Also not really my topic. And if we talk about innovations, I had the chance to look one session this morning about procurement. It was hard for me to concentrate on it because it was all scripted and teleprompted and written by the marketing departments, kind of awful and boring, hard to follow that. And I mean, if the people always say it's amazing and they say it like, oh, that's amazing because they read it just from the teleprompter, it's awful. And
today, back to like Sapphire critique, right? Today was supply chain day also, so listen a little bit into it for a little more about the network. And then there was this fake, by always the same person, social media messages looking to the live social media wall, thinking how great the presentations were of DeLonghi and Sauer Essig. I have no idea why companies get fooled by that in that direction, because it's hard enough to do digital events. Let's keep them authentic. Right?
Yeah, actually, Twitter is quite silent. I just checked it before our recording, what went on there, and most of it was just marketing of either sponsors or SAP promoting their own sessions. And that DeLonghi tweets were quite often in the timeline, and there they were talking. I didn't see the session, but I always read about Industry 4.0, which is maybe a good example for innovation where SAP, in my opinion, didn't succeed in the end, because at least if you if Industry 4.0 or 4.0 equals IoT, that's an area where SAP with the whole Leonardo thing kind of failed in this partnering with Microsoft now.
Absolutely right. So, but it's unfortunate, right? Because Industry 4.0, right, is a German heartland initiative, right? Very close where SAP is. SAP has all these manufacturing customers. And yeah, they didn't do too well to leverage on that. But it's not too late, because the good news is that key competitors, like look at Workday and Oracle, they don't have anything in manufacturing, right? So for them to wake up to Industry 4.0 or 4.0, it's going to be quite a while until that happens, right? So yeah, late, but haven't done much, but it doesn't hurt. And why haven't they done much? Because of course the core platform of S4HANA was maturing, being built, right? Also on the platform side, right, talking about the announcement, it's good to see that Concur is finally using some AI to make expense reports easier. So I love to hear from customers how that really helps. So finally, some intelligent enterprise at work at the Six Sisters, right? Are you guys using Concur?
No. Actually,
right.
we are.
We need to find someone who's using it, right? So, but to see if that really helps. But then very interesting, right? So very interesting. SAP is back at CRM, right? With upscale commerce, an SMB e-commerce solution, which is plugged into S4HANA. Who would have thought about that, right? So not C4, not Hybris, and so on. So not sure what's exactly happening there, right? So, but it wasn't really counted much. Yeah.
Rest in peace, C4HANA.
yeah, whatever happens to C4HANA, right?
Is that still listed on the website as C4HANA? I don't know.
I don't know. It was a big thing 3 Sapphires ago, right? Back to the topic of message consistency, right?
But it disappeared very fast.
Very fast. Yeah.
So sad story, but I think Hybris has some good offerings, and I also see that on the technology side, major innovations are coming from the former Hybris team in Munich, looking at Kima runtime, for example.
But in the meantime, competitor Mark Benioff runs around, says he's going to overtake SAP just with the CRM category, which is not totally true, because Salesforce is now a platform company, right? Since over a year, platform does more revenue than a service, which actually overtook sales there. So plenty of work to do by all the ERP vendors in the CRM space, no question. And then there wasn't much talk about platform, right? But Analytics Cloud has matured, right, and is being used. And of course, intelligent robotic process automation was at least mentioned a few times, right? So that's all good to see.
Yeah, but don't ask me about RPA as a developer. So for me, it's the revival of batch input. So to be a bit mean this evening. Of course, the technology is much more advanced than back then. But it's a way how to fight legacy depths you have in your system landscape, and rushing or finding a quick and dirty way to fix that issues. In my opinion,
I agree. Right, I see way too many RPA automating across the silos, which shouldn't be in silos anyway. Right, so I'm not sure if it makes it better in any way or fashion. But you must have an RPA offering, right? And that's what SAP has done. So can't say it. Yeah. What I like is that platform is no longer a bad word, right? I mean, I would have bets with McDermott how often he would say pass, and he would say 5 times, and he wouldn't say a single time or so because he forgot again and so on. But I mean, that's the good news, that on the client platform is an integral, important part of any enterprise application.
Yeah, of course. Just one last sentence about RPA. So for me, integration over the UI is just a sign for missed API strategy in the end. And of course, we are talking mainly about legacy software, but you should never use RPA for new products to integrate them, in my opinion. That's from an architectural point of view, something
should not be necessary. I fully agree with you. Right? On the flip side, right, RPA often is only the chance for business users to own their automation destiny, right? So because IT doesn't have time, there's no money for consultants to do something. So for them to do something and make what they think is better for them to run their business, often the RPA solution is the only tool of choice, right? So that is a sad reality in many enterprises, unfortunately.
I just hope that it doesn't lead to the Excel VBA and Microsoft Access graveyard we are fighting with the last 15 years.
You see that it's great on the low-code, no-code area, right? So when the business users start to code, they all of a sudden realize I really need to think about requirements. That's what all these guys told me before. Like, why can't you change your mind? Agile, good or bad, right? So experiencing by themselves what are the pros and cons of building codes with vague and moving specifications and so on. And that's not even easy to build code. It's a very interesting thing to find out.
Yeah,
cool.
Definitely.
I think that's it from the announcement. Did we miss something?
Well, there was the RISE announcement.
Oh, yes.
Which is actually, a good thing. I called it yesterday in our call, the overdue restructuring of the SAP sales, internal sales. Of course, it's bundling up different products to the or for customers to push the S/4HANA cloud, private cloud mainly, at least in Europe. And there are now offerings for different industries. They add the success factors as HR or HCM solution. And I think it's a good thing from that point that the approach, how they sell it, differs quite a lot from how they did sell software in the past, and that's actually really overdue at SAP. Because if you say you are the cloud company, you can't act like they did in the past. So that's a good thing from that side. For me personally, the marketing message is hard to understand for customers, I think. So I attended the RISE event at that time. We did record a podcast after it. I also attended several partner webinars since then. It's hard to understand what's actually in there.
Actually, but it's everything.
The
list of things which are not in there is shorter than the things which are in there, right? Coupled with economic investment. I mean, from my perspective, it's all. You always want, as a customer, as a partner, you always want your ERP vendor on the latest release, obviously, right? Because better support, more functionality, no backporting, all the good things, right? So SAP deserves kudos for trying to get their customer base to S/4HANA, right? S/4HANA Cloud, even potentially, right? Because they need cloud revenue. And so that's an applaudable thing. The problem I have with RISE is that companies are busy with other stuff right now. Right? Nobody's thinking about ERP upgrades, right? And there's a learning, maturing in the question. And then one of the exec Q&As asked Christian Klein, like, why should I go to S/4HANA? And the statement there was, it's all about business model transformation, transition, run multiple business models, right? And he was talking about things which had been very hard to do in SAP, like subscription-based pricing or subscriptions in general, right? So figuring out for media pricing. So a couple of innovation in that space. So that's potentially a good thing, because companies need to figure out how they're going to do business post-COVID and reinvent their business models, right? So, but that SAP has to make much, much more tangible to say, oh, this is this fluid way of transforming your business models, running multiple business models in parallel easily, and so on. So that's a very attractive thing. That would be a reason to upgrade, right? Unfortunately, not sustainability or not industry solutions, which are the old automation of the industry solution, not the new one that you want, right? So,
for users of old industry solutions, at least from my understanding, the migration path, if you want to call it like that, is also not that easy. And I mean, I'm a bit mean this evening. Sorry for that. If somebody asks why I should move to S/4HANA,
don't do calls on Tuesday nights.
Most probably. Maybe my kids were a bit too
rough on you.
Too rough on you. He could answer, do a Signavio analysis of your current system and find out where you can improve your business processes. I mean, that's definitely something which helps to find the business case for the customers. But I agree with you. It's a sad story.
But even that doesn't work, right? Because the best process intelligence in the world is only figuring out how I run my business. hopefully I know how I run my business. The challenge for companies now is, how do I need to transform my business? How do I pivot? How do I change my value proposition to my customers? What does it mean for my supply chain? Great, there's my network and so on. What does it mean for my demand chain? How do I get to go to market there? In my new post-pandemic way of operating and working, there's no process intelligence who will tell me this is the process you will measure in half a year when everything goes well, right? So that is really the value, to create the new process and then to see what's going on, is secondary in my view. That's important, relevant. Again, the risk is that Signavio, I don't know if it's available for ECC and if they backport it, right? It's going to be another system which you'll put on top of the old, which will be another reason that you don't have to move. And if you want to move, it's going to make harder to move, right? So it's going to be interesting who's going to offer process intelligence to ECC customers. If it's going to be SAP by itself, and it's just a question of revenue, or if it's going to be the process management vendors who are pretty much, I'm sure, will offer things for ECC customers, because there's still 20,000 plus out there.
Yeah, of course. I agree. Yeah.
Cool.
If I got Hasso right, he wants to have it within the ERP, or?
He wants to have what?
The process mining stuff within the ERP, not as an additional system.
Yeah. If it's in it, right, it should be in it to a certain point, right? So you never miss it again. But the question, of course, for SAP is, what do you do with your install base, right? And SAP doesn't like to see it, like all vendors doesn't like it. Oh, I have this upgrade problem with customers, and now third-party vendors are wildering in my install base and work with my old and new product and say, hey, okay, you upgrade your ERP stuff, but your process mining is still breezing through with this, right? And it's going to be hard to make it part of it, right? Because the other scenarios, of course, customers will not go upgrade all their ECC systems overnight, right? Go big bang. They will be gradually. And then there is a need for process mining, process intelligence, know what's going on in my diverse SAP landscape of ECC, S4HANA, whatever, the 6 sister systems and so on, right? So yeah, it's going to be interesting how SAP is going to address it from an architectural perspective.
Yeah. They were talking about Hasso. There was one very interesting statement he made. He said, he
always makes interesting statements. It's always fun to listen to Hasso.
Yeah, of course. Very entertaining, and I really love to listen to his keynotes and watch them. He said we rewrote the ERP system, where I was a bit surprised. So we were already talking during our rehearsal about that. I was running this afternoon and I thought about that again. Okay, for a certain extent, there's, at least from the technology perspective, now there's one framework they are using and one architecture, how they develop within the ABAP stack. But I still doubt, at least for the on-prem version, I know that they didn't rewrite everything, and for my understanding, it's still the same code line as for HANA Cloud.
I mean, they said it, right? A lot of code was copied. They did some renovation, some makeup work, whatever, some cleaning, and that's a big problem, right? So the big problem is because the best practices baked into that code are all the 20th century best practices, not the 21st century best practices, which come from a totally different IT paradigm, where your trusted technologies would size your system to your needs, right? And God beware, you would use 3 of the peaks at the same time, closing your books, running payroll, and running manufacturing. Your system wouldn't be able to do it, right? But God beware, you oversized it and you paid too much for it, or you undersized it, and then would have a horrible user and customer experience, right? And this infinite computing era, as I call it, right, where we don't care for bandwidth between Stuttgart and San Diego right now, and we can do video, and we don't care if 4 or 20 people are watching us, right? It's infinite, right? It doesn't be measured, and that changes best practice. And it's for the first time that best practices are behind to what technology can do. And that is a disruption for all of ERP, all of business applications. And the ERP vendor who does that right first will be doing really, really well. And it's not going to be happening with old code. That's very clear.
Yeah, but maybe to really do real-time scaling with an ABAP system, I think there need also there are some changes which need to be done.
No, we can go deep into dark architecture of the Verbucher or the update task, right? The problem is that the ABAP code can't use multiple CPUs, and it's all about putting more chips on a single CPU, right? So SAP really has to do something from a pure technology perspective to make their code scale more elastically going forward, right? So, lots of skeletons in the closet, like whatever happens when you have this very successful platform which runs for 30 plus years, right? So,
yeah.
Cool.
So one announcement, which wasn't mentioned in the keynote, but was published last week, I think at least from my developer's perspective, was very important, that there will be a free tier offering finally for the business technology platform. Very important thing to.
It was there already with Cloud Platform, then it disappeared, and now it's back, right? So
yeah. I mean, the Cloud Platform thing was always there. The Neo one was unlimited from a time perspective. The Cloud Foundry one was limited to 1 month or 3 months.
Something
I
like
don't
that,
remember. But it was always a dead end. If you developed something within that free tier environment, you had no chance to move it to a production stage or productive environment, which is common on AWS and Azure, for example. And so SAP kind of missed, for me, the opportunity to get POCs which were developed into production, and they also missed, in my opinion, a sales channel in this area.
Of course. It's a sales channel. It's an education channel. It's a consulting channel, right? Education for anybody who wants to learn how to do things on that. And it's a consulting channel in terms of sales, also in terms of proof of concept, right? Does this really work? IT department tries a few tier out. It's difficult to size these free tiers correctly from a length perspective and depth perspective, because obviously they cost something, right? And you want to have something in return, and you just want to have instances hanging around for people who don't use them, right? So it's tricky to size them right. The whole industry struggles with that, but certainly it's good to see them coming back to SAP. No question about that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, SAP does some major changes also in the area of education, which is closely related, in my opinion. So there are more free offerings, and SAP, at least that's my observation in Germany, has really troubles to get, or the ecosystem, not SAP itself. I think SAP is a very attractive employer still, no doubt about that. But getting young students, kind of interested in SAP technology is quite hard nowadays. And one reason for that is that there was till now only very limited possibilities to use the SAP technology. And it's still there. I mean, you still need, for example, HANA offering to get an small application done. For example, if you use CAP, the Cloud Application Programming Model.
It's the dilemma of the enterprise footprint, which is small for the enterprise, but large for the interested student, developer, wannabe part, right? So that's the big problem that SAP has with the decision for HANA in general, right? So, but hey, it is what it is, right? So we can't really change that, right? So
I still hope that there will be the open source CAP announcement for TechEd at the latest. So it would be a great thing. The community is kind of waiting for it. It was a big topic during TechEd last December.
We're over our self-imposed half-an-hour limit already by 3 minutes, 10%.
Okay.
Anything else important that we forgot, Martin?
Let me quickly check. I think we got it all, and much faster than during our rehearsal.
Well, we were much longer in our rehearsal, so but that is like only for the gods now. But hopefully some people see this live now, and at least it counts people that are seeing this live, so it must be working recording-wise. Cool.
Really?
Well, always a pleasure. What's the training plan for the summer?
Well, I kind of stopped my morning runs right now because we've got a son 10 days ago or 12 days ago now, so I was a bit busy with taking care for the family or about the family. So I hope I will start again when I start work again in 2 weeks. And then so there were no races planned in the last 2 years, so I will see. Maybe the shape is kind of there. Would be ready for it.
Well, for me, it's swimming for the summer now. I can swim all year, but the goal is swim, get the swim distance in, and don't get injured, because I get more injuries from swimming than from running and biking. It's crazy. Swimming is super sneaky. Everybody tells you it doesn't hurt, and swimming just sneaks up on you. You just go and I build it now slowly and so on. And then I stop swimming, and 3-4 days later, I get non-fixable back cramps and other stuff. I mean, it doesn't help that I swim like a battle cruiser. So technique, what is that? Right? It just plow through the water, right?
But that's a reason why I don't swim.
Good. Yeah. So I my most serious injury from all sports I had from swimming. I threw out my hip in December from swimming. Right? So it's a lie. Careful when you're in the water. Just kidding.
Okay.
All right.
So I keep running and cycling.
About our injuries here and our workout ambitions. But it was always fun. Like, great to review Sapphire with you, Martin. Always appreciate your more consulting perspective. I just live in the analyst clouds behind me, right? So don't get my hands dirty much. So it's always great to talk to you.
Yeah, same applies for me. It's always good to get the broader vision of an analyst in. And of course, we will publish that also as a podcast again on the Coffee Corner Radio podcast. You find it on any podcast directory.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, this was fun. Let's do this again in Q3. And let's see what else SAP Sapphire is still going on for 1.5 weeks, right? What else they have up their sleeve, and see. Maybe we have to do an extra edition, but I don't think there's going to be so many surprises left. But we'll see. Never say never. Never say never. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Martin. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good to speak to you. Bye-bye.